Whew. I should have been wearing a jacket. It can get a little bit cold in Wisconsin as we head towards winter time. And I have an art studio here, and so it's in my best interest to keep myself warm so I can paint. If you have an art studio and it's not within a home, or you're in a rural area and you have an outbuilding like myself, how do you keep your studio warm during the winter time? That's a question I was facing here in this studio. My wife and I bought this house with this attached outbuilding several months ago, and I was trying to find a way to heat it somewhat inexpensively and keep this place warm so that I can paint, so that my paint stays fluid. Paint doesn't like the cold very much, and neither do artists' fingers. Just like all workers, we have to have a certain temperature range to do our trade, do our craft in. And so to keep this studio at a good room temperature, I thought, well, God bless us with this beautiful land. We have plenty of wood on our property, and also in an area where we can buy some firewood. And I've always loved wood heat. So I wanted to put a wood stove here in the studio. Unfortunately, the insurance does not allow that, and so I thought of a different way. So my idea was to build a wood stove outside. So outside my studio, there's a hole that they cut in the wall that was used for venting out sawdust and that kind of thing. They had a blower duct blowing outside. And I thought, what if I inverted that around, turned the fan the opposite way, and blew hot air in? And so I was looking on Craigslist, and I happened to find a wood stove that would be perfect for it. It had a blower hole and a jacket around it. I bought it for just 10 bucks. Needed a little bit of TLC, got some black stove paint, painted that up, and then the next step was to, or actually say prior to that, was to build a foundation for the stove to stand on. Now our land is kind of angled down. We've got a hill going down in the back part where the stove would go, and so I set some rocks in place and then put in some pea gravel in between, and then with that filled it in with some clay. We have clay, and just kind of packed it all together. Finally on top putting some paving stones, and made a really good firm level foundation. After getting that foundation in place, then the next step was to bring the stove up. I had it sitting for a while in storage. I wheeled it up and set it in place. After that I was able to paint it with some black stove paint and get it looking nice again. One of the purposes of the stove paint was to keep water from rusting it out, because the idea of this stove was to enclose it in stone. I've always liked the thermal mass ideas of rocket stoves, did a little research on that, and I thought it would be nice to enclose this stove with a lot of rock. And so that's what I did. I got some cinder block, a little bit of new cinder block, and some used cinder block as well. I tried to scavenge as much things as I could for free, and so I grabbed the cinder block and started stacking that up around the stove, and then after that began backfilling it with cob. Now cob is a mixture of clay and sand and a little bit of straw to give it some rigidity, and so we had some backfill from a project when the septic was installed. We had to have a new septic installed, and the installer put down a lot of gravel and stone, and I grabbed from that because there's a lot of excess left here in the land. And we also have some natural clay, and I mixed the two together in my wheelbarrow, and then started shoveling that into the foundation. Now with the stone going in place, I want to make sure that I had the duct and the chimney going where it should. So I had some black stove pipe, and then also some high quality double walled insulated stove pipe that God provided for free from Bethel Church, a church where I attend. They just happened to be taking out a furnace, and they let me have all of that double-walled stovepipe for free, which is awesome because that stuff is super expensive. You're looking at several hundreds of dollars, but I got that for free. I also got some metal siding as well that I can use to cover the project when I have it completely finished. But be that as it may, I wanted to make sure the ductwork was going where it should, and then also the stovepipe going where it should. And it was a matter of routing it through, trying to place it strategically so that there would be some heat absorption taking place into the rock. I did find out that if the stovepipe made too many twists and turns, it wouldn't exhaust properly and there wouldn't be enough draw in the actual wood stove. So that wasn't going to work. I had to go with a more conventional straight elbow up, across and then up. Now after things are starting to fill in, I decided at the end it might be nice just for the future, just in case, to put some copper coil inside, and just to make sure in case I might want to run some radiant heat and extract the heat from the thermal mass, I'd have the ability to do that. So I got some copper tubing, I think it was 1/2 inch and then 3/8, and I ran that through a few times, about 20-30 feet. I had some going around the stovepipe directly, which a lot of heat comes off of that stovepipe. I also had some going through the main mass of stone as well, and as the heat would rise up, hopefully that'll be captured. Later on I can run a pump through there and a mixture of water and antifreeze, and then hook up some PEX tubing hopefully to that and run it along our floor here for radiant heat as well.
What are you doing?
They gotta somehow climb up. They got to.
You're gonna climb?
They're so curious. They've got to get up there. Here, let's make it easy for them. Just because.
That's not gonna help.
Here, Faith. Come on.
Come on, baby. Come here. Come on. You wanna climb?
Now I just added support for the chimney, just made out of a couple pieces of metal that I anchored with a shelving bracket like this, only a lot bigger and stronger. I have attached the start of the chimney and I have the support attached as well. And now I want to add on the last couple of sections, and I'm trying to find the best way to do that. Alright, I'm up on the roof and I attached a bracket that I made. This is just using some old shelving that fell apart. And I attached these two pieces together for extra strength, bent them a little bit, and then secured it to the roof with some flashing and some clear sealant. And then I'm going to attach this piece here, and that'll go to add extra support when I add the last section of chimney. Not a real long ways down, but long enough so God keep me safe. In Jesus' name, amen. Now I have the chimney attached. I think that goes about 20 feet up. I attached another bracket to the supports, a vertical bracket, as you can see, just so that it gives it a little more rigidity and so that this stays pretty stable. It is fairly stable. It does have a little play on the top, but hopefully this will hold. And that's just one more step down on this heater. Now I started this project back in about July or August and just did it a little here, a little there. But it started getting to be in the late September, and I thought I better get this finished so that I have it ready when the weather gets cool in October. And the weather, as I record this now, it is getting colder here with 40-degree highs, and we're in the middle to end part of October. And I do have the furnace finished up to the point of being able to burn wood, and it's producing a nice heat. Getting it up to temperatures coming out of the actual heat duct of 150 to 200 degrees. And with the blower attached, I have a thermostat that just plugs into the blower, and I can keep this room at about 72 degrees fairly easily. So I have yet to see what it'll be like when we reach 10 below zero, as we commonly get here in Wisconsin. But I also have a gas heater as well that's hooked up, and you can see that in the background. And that is able to get some heat in as well. It's a propane heater, and it has an exhaust flue on the top just to catch some of those gases. Even though that is considered a ventless heater, it still produces some gases, and that's going up the chimney just to keep me safe. So all in all, that's how the heater project has taken place, this thermal mass wood stove heater. It's a pretty good workhorse. I've tested it for several days. Anyway, that's the project, and I hope that might be of an encouragement or a help to you. If you have an outbuilding that you want to keep warm and you're not able to have a wood stove within your building, maybe you're not an artist but you're a craftsman or a carpenter, or you just do work in your shop, I hope this idea here might be of benefit to you. The project is not entirely completed. I do plan on enclosing it with insulation and putting sheet metal around it, but that's going to have to possibly wait until next winter, when I have a little more time to work on it. So anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. If you found it helpful or encouraging, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel for more videos. I would like to say like this, but mostly I do videos demonstrating my artwork. This is an exception to that, but I just want to share with you what's going on here. And this has taken some time to get this set up, but it's very important for me to have a warm studio to work in. So I do hope to get more art videos out now that things are set up for the winter here. But anyway, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe. You can go to realisticacrylic.com, and I have tutorials there for my artwork, teaching you how to paint realistic acrylic portraits. Also at mattphilleo.com, I have samples of my fine artwork and commissioned portraits as well. But I better go outside and check on the wood stove, see how that fire is going. So anyway, I'll talk to you soon. God bless. More critters here other than our cat. We got a nice caterpillar crawling up the side of this wood stove.